Every day the world loses legends, icons whose lives shaped our culture, our memories, our hearts. From actors to musicians, pioneers to visionaries, their stories deserve to be remembered and celebrated. Welcome back. Here we honor the lives, achievements, and legacies of those who passed, today keeping their memory alive for generations to come. The news came in quietly, almost like a soft echo from the past. Eliseo Rodríguez Delgado, a name once spoken in dugouts and under stadium lights, has passed away. There were no loud headlines at first, only a growing wave of remembrance from those who knew the game and knew the man behind the plate. For many, he was not the loudest voice on the field. He did not chase attention. Instead, he built his career on something deeper. Something steady. Something that lasts longer than applause. Eliseo Rodríguez Delgado carved out his place in Major League Baseball during a time when the sport itself was changing. New talents were rising. The pace was shifting. But through it all, he remained consistent. Game after game, season after season, he showed up with quiet focus and discipline. As a catcher, his role was never simple. It required patience, awareness, trust. He had to guide pitchers, read batters, and stay grounded even when the pressure built. Those who watched closely understood his value. He was the kind of player every team needed, even if not every fan noticed right away. Teammates often spoke of his calm presence. One former pitcher once shared, "When he was behind the plate, you felt safe. You knew someone was thinking ahead even when the game got tense." It was not just skill. It was awareness. A quiet leadership that did not demand attention but earned respect. Born with a love for the game, Eliseo's journey to professional baseball was not without its challenges. Like many before him, he had to prove himself again and again. There were moments of doubt. Times when the spotlight passed him by. But he stayed the course. He played for several teams throughout his career, adapting to new environments and new expectations. Each uniform he wore carried the same effort, the same discipline. Coaches trusted him. Teammates relied on him. And over time his reputation grew, not as a star chasing headlines but as a player who made the team stronger. There is something powerful about consistency. It may not always be celebrated in loud ways, but it shapes the foundation of success. Eliseo understood this. He approached every game with the same mindset. Do the work. Support the team. Stay ready. Fans who followed his career remember the small moments. A key play at the right time. A steady hand during a difficult inning. The kind of contributions that do not always make highlight reels, but stay in memory for those who truly love the sport. As news of his passing spread, tributes began to appear. Former teammates, fans, and members of the baseball community shared their thoughts. Many of them spoke not just about his career but about his character. One message read, "He didn't need to be loud to be important. He showed us what it means to be reliable, to be present." Another tribute shared, "Eliseo was the kind of teammate you never forget. He made the game feel steady even on the hardest days." These words paint a picture of a man who understood his role in a deeper way. He was not just playing the game. He was supporting it, holding it together in moments that others might overlook. Beyond the field, those close to him remember a different side. A quieter life. A person who valued respect, discipline, and connection. While the public saw his professional journey, his family and friends knew the person behind it. The one who carried humility and strength in equal measure. There is often a quiet dignity in players like Eliseo Rodríguez Delgado. They may not always stand at the center of attention, but their impact runs through every part of the game. They are the ones who keep things balanced. The ones who show up even when no one is watching. His passing marks the end of a chapter that many did not fully realize they were witnessing. A steady presence is gone. A voice that guided from behind the plate has fallen silent. But the echoes of his work remain. Baseball is a game built on moments. Some are loud and unforgettable. Others are quiet but just as meaningful. Eliseo lived in those quieter moments. And because of that, his legacy feels different. It feels grounded. As the baseball world reflects on his life, there is a shared understanding. He may not have been the most celebrated name, but he was one of the most dependable. And in a game that demands both skill and heart, that kind of presence is rare. In the end, what remains is not just a record of games played or teams represented. It is the memory of how he carried himself, the way he approached the game, the respect he earned without asking for it. Eliseo Rodríguez Delgado leaves behind more than a career. He leaves behind a quiet example. A reminder that greatness is not always loud. Sometimes it is steady. Sometimes it is patient. Sometimes it is found in the simple act of showing up and doing the work with care. And as the lights dim on this chapter, his presence continues in the rhythm of the game he loved. In every catcher who guides with calm focus. In every player who chooses discipline over attention. He may be gone, but his imprint remains, soft, steady, and lasting. The news was confirmed in a quiet moment, shared first among those who understood the language of film beyond words. Dean Tavoularis, a man whose vision helped shape some of the most powerful images in American cinema, has passed away. His name may not have always appeared in bold lights, but his work lived in every frame, every shadow, every carefully built world. For decades he stood behind the scenes, shaping stories not with dialogue, but with space, texture, and atmosphere. His craft was not loud. It did not demand attention. Yet it guided the way audiences felt, often without them even realizing it. Dean Tavoularis was a master of production design. It was his responsibility to create the physical world of a film. The rooms characters lived in. The streets they walked. The spaces where emotion unfolded. And in his hands, those spaces became more than just settings. They became part of the story itself. His work on films like The Godfather and Apocalypse Now helped define an era of filmmaking. These were not just movies. They were experiences. Deep, layered, and unforgettable. And much of that feeling came from the environments he carefully created. Colleagues often spoke of his attention to detail. Nothing was random. Every wall, every object, every shadow had meaning. One longtime collaborator once said, Dean didn't just design sets. He built worlds you could feel. You stepped into them and suddenly everything made sense. His journey into cinema was not driven by a need for fame. It came from a deep love of storytelling. He understood that great stories need strong foundations. And for him that foundation was visual truth. If a place felt real, the story could breathe. Working closely with directors, especially during a time when American cinema was evolving, he became a trusted creative partner. His ideas were thoughtful. His approach was patient. He listened more than he spoke, but when he did share, it carried weight. During the making of The Godfather, his work helped bring a sense of authenticity that audiences had never seen before. The world felt lived in. It felt real. The quiet rooms, the dim lighting, the careful details. They all added to the emotional depth of the film. And in Apocalypse Now, his vision shifted completely. The environments became intense, almost overwhelming. Yet even in chaos there was control. Every scene carried intention. Every space told a story of its own. A fellow filmmaker once reflected, he had a rare gift. He could take an idea and turn it into something you could walk through. That's not easy. That's art. Despite working on such iconic projects, Dean Tavoularis remained a private person. He did not seek recognition. Awards and praise came, but they were never his focus. What mattered most was the work itself. The process. The quiet satisfaction of building something meaningful. Those who worked with him remember his calm presence. On busy sets where tension often runs high, he brought a sense of balance. He was steady, focused, always thinking ahead but never rushing the moment. As news of his passing spread, tributes began to appear from across the film community. Directors, designers, and fans shared their memories and gratitude. Many spoke about how his work influenced not just films, but the way people understand visual storytelling. One tribute read, "He taught us that the world around a character matters just as much as the character itself." Another shared, "Dean's work will never fade. It lives in every frame of the films we still watch today." Beyond the camera and the sets, those close to him remember a man of quiet strength. He valued creativity but also humility. He believed in collaboration, in listening, in letting the work speak for itself. There is a certain kind of artist who does not stand in front of the spotlight, but shapes everything that happens within it. Dean Tavoularis was one of those artists. His presence was not always seen, but it was always felt. His passing marks the loss of a creative force that helped define modern cinema. Yet in many ways he is still here. His work continues to live on. In every carefully designed scene. In every film that draws inspiration from his approach. Cinema is built on many layers. Story, performance, sound, and space. Dean understood how these layers come together. He knew that even the smallest detail could carry emotion. And through that understanding he helped create films that continue to move audiences across generations. As the film world reflects on his life, there is a shared sense of respect. Not just for what he created but for how he created it. With care. With patience. With a deep understanding of the art. In the end, his legacy is not just found in awards or recognition. It is found in the feeling his work leaves behind. The quiet moments. The powerful images. The worlds that continue to exist long after the screen fades to black. Dean Tavoularis may no longer be here, but his vision remains. It lives in the language of cinema. In the spaces that tell stories without words. And in the hearts of those who continue to be inspired by his work. As one final tribute simply said, he built worlds so others could tell their stories. And because of that, his story will never be forgotten. And in that quiet truth, his legacy endures. Steady, creative, and forever part of the films that shaped generations. The news was shared in a quiet and reflective tone, the kind that invites people to pause and think. Andrew Hacker, a voice that spent decades asking difficult questions about society and politics, has passed away. His absence is felt not only in academic circles, but in every space where thoughtful discussion once carried his influence. He was not a man who followed the crowd. Instead, he chose to stand slightly apart, observing, questioning, and encouraging others to do the same. His work was not always comfortable to hear, but it was always meant to open minds. Andrew Hacker built his life around ideas. As a political scientist and professor, he believed that understanding society required more than simple answers. It required patience, honesty, and the courage to face complex truths. In classrooms and through his writing, he invited people to think deeper. Students who sat in his lectures often describe a quiet but powerful presence. He did not raise his voice to be heard. He did not rely on dramatic gestures. Instead, he spoke with calm clarity, guiding discussions that stayed with people long after the class ended. One former student once shared, "He didn't tell us what to think. He showed us how to think." That made all the difference. It was a simple reflection, but it captured the heart of his teaching. His work often explored the structure of American society. He looked closely at issues many preferred to avoid. Race, inequality, power. He believed these were not topics to ignore, but ones that needed careful attention and honest conversation. Through his books and essays, Andrew Hacker reached a wider audience. His words traveled beyond the classroom, finding readers across the country. He wrote in a way that was clear and direct, yet thoughtful. He did not aim to impress. He aimed to be understood. A fellow academic once reflected, Andrew had a rare ability to make complex ideas feel real. He brought them down to a human level where people could truly engage. That ability became one of his greatest strengths. His journey into academia was shaped by curiosity. From an early stage, he showed a deep interest in how societies function. Why systems work the way they do. Why some voices are heard more than others. These questions stayed with him throughout his life. Over the years, he became a respected figure in his field. But respect for him was never the goal. What mattered was the conversation. The exchange of ideas. The chance to challenge assumptions and explore new ways of thinking. Those who worked alongside him remember his thoughtful nature. He listened carefully. He considered different viewpoints. And even when he disagreed, he did so with respect. His approach created space for meaningful dialogue. As news of his passing spread, tributes began to appear from students, colleagues, and readers. Many shared how his work had changed the way they saw the world. Not through force but through gentle encouragement to think more deeply. One message read, "He asked questions that stayed with you. Even years later, you find yourself thinking back to his words." Another tribute shared, Andrew Hacker didn't just study society. He helped us understand our place within it. Beyond his professional life, those close to him remember a man who valued reflection. He appreciated quiet moments. Time to read, to write, to think. It was in these moments that his ideas took shape, slowly forming into the work that would reach so many. There is a certain kind of impact that cannot be measured easily. It is not found in numbers or awards, but in the way a person changes how others think. Andrew Hacker carried that kind of impact. Subtle but lasting. His passing marks the end of a thoughtful voice in American discourse. A voice that did not seek to dominate conversations but to deepen them. A voice that reminded people that understanding takes time, and that questioning is not a weakness but a strength. In a world that often moves quickly, his work encouraged people to slow down, to reflect, to consider different perspectives, and in doing so to become more aware of the world around them. As the academic and public communities reflect on his life, there is a shared sense of gratitude. For his ideas, for his patience, for his commitment to honest conversation. He left behind more than books and lectures. He left behind a way of thinking. Andrew Hacker may no longer be present, but his influence remains. It lives in classrooms where students continue to ask questions, in discussions where people seek deeper understanding, and in the quiet moments when someone chooses to think more carefully about the world. As one final tribute simply expressed, he taught us that thinking is an act of courage, and that courage stays with us. And in that lasting message, his legacy continues, thoughtful, steady, and deeply rooted in the pursuit of understanding.